and it goes like this. Sages now trust to fairy scenes no more, nor venture farther than they see the shore. They build on sense, then reason from the effect. On well-established truths their schemes erect. By these some new phenomena explain, and light divine in every process again. Such was the path immortal Newton trod. He formed the wondrous plan and marked the road. Led by this clue, he traveled o'er the sky and marshaled all the shining worlds on high. Pursued the comets where they farthest run and brought them back obsequious to the sun. Mature in thought, you Newton's laws reduce to nobler ends and more important use. You show how heavenly orbs affect our frame and raise or sink by turns the vital flame. How moons alternate in their changing sphere, impress their force and agitate the air. How, as with successive tides advance, while Cynthia pale pursues her silent dance. So does the refluent blood her influence know, and tides within roll high or creep on slow. I think the message that this video is trying to portray is kind of like the veil is lifted. All of these things that we never really had an answer to, we just lived with, and the sages looked to fairy scenes, so more folklore and fairy tale for the answers to these questions. But now that Newton has made all these discoveries, it's like a celebration of new knowledge. And the poet says things like, how moons alternate in their changing sphere, impress their force, agitate the air, how as with successive tides advance. So talking about the tides and the way that the moons move around, and they've noticed that, but now they know that it affects the water as well, because they thought that those were separate ideas. But learning that but they thought that those were separate ideas, so learning that those are all connected is a very interesting point for them to start to understand, which I'm sure would affect their worldview quite a bit. And I think for Sam Bowden, his worldview was changed, but for the better, because the words that he uses in this poem are words of praise and wonder and interest. And in the poem, Sam Bowden says, such the path that immortal Newton trod. So his path being the more clear one, when before people only saw this. So Newton definitely knew what was going on, and this is the way that he kind of saw the world and helped people understand, despite them all kind of seeing it like this. At the beginning of the poem, Sam Bowden talks about reason and sense and fairy scenes and kind of bringing all of these ideas into one. Not that they just need to believe the folklore that they've learned to talk about all these things, but now that they have information to tell them why. I think Newton's discoveries were subject to such scrutiny just because of religion and skepticism. As I mentioned, these were big discoveries that told people how the tides moved, and that was before such a earthly action that no one had an explanation for, or they turned to their religion to give responses. But with him challenging that and making these discoveries, I think it really just kind of put people on the spot, and they had to defend what they truly believed in, because this was new science that they couldn't put up to par where their beliefs for their own religion were.